All right, so today I'm here with my guest, Matt Johnson, who I've only met one time in person, maybe two times. I don't know, maybe NAB, some other things. But I've been following you for years and years and years. You're, I would almost consider you an OG YouTuber, dude. Like, I remember your wedding videos and your little IKEA light in the background for, what, 6 years ago? I don't know. How long have you been on YouTube now?
Does 6 years make you OG? I guess it could. I don't know.
It feels
Um,
longer than that, but maybe, so it's 6 years?
well, I uploaded my first YouTube video in 2006, actually, but I basically uploaded for a decade and saw zero success with YouTube until I finally figured out, oh, I probably need like a niche and I probably need like a focus for my channel instead of just generic. "Bleh."
Yeah.
And that helped out a lot.
Well, I think the niche that you're most known for, I would assume, correct me if I'm wrong, is the wedding film making niche, if you will, or business.
Pretty
Um,
much.
and that's how I discovered you, because at the time I was a working wedding videographer. I would I call Joe Simon a friend, and then Still Motion, obviously, were the kings back in the day,
Yep.
the goats, if you will, that inspired all of us. Do you know Joe Simon? I know he's in Texas.
I have met him a few times. I will admit the first time I met him, I fangirled
Oh
so
yeah,
bad, like so hard. It was like I think I freaked him out. And I was like, I'm sorry. Okay, my bad. My bad. But I will say, like, I think I was like 2 years into filming weddings. And I watched every single video that Joe Simon made. And
Mm,
I emailed him, like cold emailed him, like, hey, if you ever need any help, like I'm like an hour away. I could come and help. And he was like, it was very gracious, very kind. Like
yeah.
it was a firm no. It was a very firm, like, no, we're good, man. Thanks so much. And I'm like, I know
Yeah,
everybody, like, I'm sure he gets a ton of emails like that. Cause I still get emails like that all the time now. And I'm
sure.
like, it's just like I'm fangirling the same way people fangirl about me. And I'm like, no, like it's weird. It's really weird.
Dude, he was a person to be fangirling about, because I feel like there was almost you had Still Motion and Joe Simon, and they were both just crushing it at the time. This is the 2010s of the
Yep.
filmmaking industry, right when the 5D Mark II kind of revolutionized everything. Still Motion was on the forefront of that, and then Joe Simon followed. If you don't know who we're talking about, go check them out. Who is that other guy that was so cinematic? Something Castle. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I
Uh,
think my mind went to Frank Castle and I was like, wait a second, nope, that's the
what
Punisher.
was it? Do you know
Mine
what I'm talking
Castle?
about?
I think it was Mine
Mind Castle.
Castle.
That was
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
Mind Castle. Holy cow. Do you remember his videos? It was like he would rent jibs and steady cams, and he would do these crazy, mostly Indian weddings, like in the
Yep.
middle of the most cinematic, ridiculous scenarios.
It
I
was
remember.
Mine Castle and it was Kevin Shahanian. I don't
Uh
remember how you
huh.
pronounce his name, from Pacific Pictures. And he did
Pacific.
just
Oh,
they
no, no.
both did like
Yeah,
crazy Indian weddings.
I think you're right, actually. I think I'm confusing Pacific Pictures with Mind Castle. Mind Castle, I remember he, I guess, bought an Alexa at some point and was using it for weddings. And so Ari actually ended up hiring him to do some promotional stuff. For Ari, he was putting the Alexa Mini on the stabilized helicopter thing. What was that thing called?
Amazing.
The Cine the Cine something. It's that little ball that would go
I know what
underneath
you're
the
talking about. Yeah,
helicopter.
yeah, yeah. I
Anyways,
can't remember the name of it, but yes.
it predates the Movi and kind of all that stuff. But man, it was an exciting time back in the DSLR revolution days, was it not?
Oh, it was great. Nobody knew what they were doing. And I would say a good like three-fourths of the industry was like, no, camcorder for life. Like, you don't need a photo camera and like, rah, rah, rah. And I still remember it was like 2018. And I met this very nice lady, and she was like, hey, I'm thinking about upgrading from like a tape to DSLR. Like, do you think it's gonna stick around? And I'm like, it's been nearly a decade. I'm pretty sure it's here to stay. Like, I would upgrade. It's probably time.
I remember you, Matt. I think you may have been, and correct me if I'm wrong here. You may have been the first Sony guy to switch from Canon to Sony, or was it? Or no, no, no. You got the C100 uh, pretty early. You did a review with the C100 with weddings, I believe. That took. Am I remembering this all wrong?
You're remembering everything all wrong. That's okay though.
I just remember seeing you do a review that was like about a camera that I was interested in during the time when I was working in the industry, and I feel like it was a camera that was kind of like a revolutionary camera. What was that camera? Do you remember?
I will tell you that the first like 2 videos that I had that blew up were an A7S II review, like a month after it came out,
that
and
must have been what I'm
and the
referring to.
FS5, which a lot of people wanted.
Yep.
And it was one of those things where like I was currently shooting on an FS100 at the time, like the earlier Sony's version of the C100, basically from 2012, which I loved. But I was thinking, I'm A7S2's coming out. I'll get one of those, but I'm going to shoot on the FS5. I know that. And then I got both of them, and I just fell in love with the A7S2. And I returned my FS5 within it was like day 28 of the 30-day B&H return window. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, you got to take this thing back. But I did make a review of it, and that's probably what you're thinking of.
Yeah, I'm confusing it all. I think you're right. It was the A7S2, which everybody already knew that the A7S was great, but it was still everybody was still in the Canon world. You had some people that switched over, but when the A7S II came out with the internal 4K, which was like a big deal at the time, that really changed things. And if you're saying that you did it fairly early, then I definitely saw it, and that definitely predates my YouTube journey. I've only been on YouTube for 4 years, so but basically you were a little gear guy. A little gear guy. Yeah.
That fits so well. Oh my gosh.
We before we started recording, I was nerding out with Matt with my new soundboard. So everyone listening, congratulations, you are now listening to a podcast that has a soundboard. So does that make this automatically a comedy podcast?
It makes me scared for what sounds I'm going to hear at any moment.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah. So anyways, oh my gosh, people at home are loving it. Okay, so I want to get into the YouTube thing. I want to learn your YouTube journey. But tell me about Matt. Where do you come from? How did you start? What's going on in your brain? And how long have you had a beard? Because I feel like as long as I've known you, you've had it. It's and it continues to grow, I guess. I don't know.
I'm reassured that if I ever need to disappear from the internet, I can just shave and just immediately witness protection myself, and no one will know who I am. And so that's a plus.
Remind me, where did we meet? Was it at NAB or was it at a Sony event or something?
I want to say that it was at NAB 2019.
Okay.
I'm pretty darn sure.
And
because that's where I met like a ton of people.
Caleb Pike and Gerald Undone, we were all there together at that event. Oh my gosh. 2019. The innocence, innocence of that time and the fun. Oh, Lord have mercy.
And everybody that I talked to was like, yeah, I'll see you in 2020. We'll be back. It's going to be great. And I was like, I got to go back in 2020. Yeah. And then it was like 2021. And then it was October 2020. Never mind. 2023, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, this is going to be such a distraction for me as an ADHD person.
I think it's great. I think it's really great.
I'm just listening. I'm literally just listening to you to find a moment to play something.
Anxiously waiting. And now I find myself talking and trying to like pause my words when I think there might be a good moment for you to do one.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah.
It's so close.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
also,
great.
There's an internet delay. Okay, so yeah, we met 2019. Really hit it off. I really love your energy, and again, like I've said, I've been watching your stuff for years. But tell me your journey as a filmmaker, how you got into it, and pre-YouTube, if you will.
Yeah, man. I always had made like dumb videos with like my parents' VHS camcorder growing up, like
me too.
G.I. Joe videos, like they're fighting, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I went to college. My parents bought me this point and shoot Sony camera, and it had a 12-minute recording limit, and not like 12 minutes. You got to press record. Like, no, the memory card itself could only record for 12 minutes before it was full.
It's like a 1 gigabyte card or something, right?
I think it was 4:3. It wasn't even like widescreen. It was classic. but I started making really dumb YouTube videos with my roommates. And then I found that I was enjoying it. So I was like, man, I should buy like a better camera. So I bought I went to the Sony outlet mall by my house and bought a Sony Handycam that I thought was like hot stuff. But this was at the time between tape. So like tape was on the way out. So thank God mini DV was on the way out. But this was pre-flash memory being like really affordable. Yeah. And so it was this awkward period where they were like, hey, this camcorder records to mini DVDs.
Yes, the DVDs. I remember those.
It was like GameCube discs.
Yeah, GameCube.
Yeah,
dude.
that's what it looked like. And so
that's amazing.
The best part is that I was like a total like, cheap college student. And so I couldn't actually afford to buy a lot of the discs. So I just bought like 2 rewritable discs and then I would just format them and rewrite them. And so I had like the same discs for years and I just used the same ones over and over again, which was stupid because I only had like 30 minutes of recording time and then they'd be full and I'd be like, oh crap, I got it. But I only had like 4 discs. So I was like, dang it. It was rough. Finally, the discs.
Oh, dude, you record on tape? No. Discs.
Yeah. Disc. What? Never mind. Don't worry about it.
That really was a medium that kind of, there's almost a YouTube video in that topic. Like it was definitely a medium that completely skipped. We moved past it essentially. There were a couple of those camcorders, but yeah, like there could be a catchy title with that. Like
I think I still have it somewhere. I got to dig around in the closet.
The recording format that skipped a generation or whatever. Like I don't know, something like that. Like
it was very brief. It was like a 3-year window, and they're like, okay, flash memory is cheap enough. Never mind, forget this. Just use SD cards.
Totally.
But man, how weird.
Okay, so you got a nice camcorder.
Yes, and then I was thinking about upgrading again. Like this is like 2008 had just happened, so 5D Mark II revolution had just occurred, and I was thinking about buying one of those. And then I was at a campus Bible study event at Texas A&M where I went to college, and this guy, which I'm sure a lot of filmmakers will probably know that recognize this name, Ryan Booth, who is a extremely talented filmmaker that many people love.
My friend Seth Worley knows him really well.
Yes,
I don't know him, but yeah.
So
and
Ryan,
is he Texas guy? I thought he was Texas, right?
He was. And
yeah. And him and Ryan Connolly did stuff.
Yeah, he filmed a ton of stuff for Ryan up in Dallas. And so Ryan Booth happened, this is so weird, but he was literally filming this Bible study group. So this is like whenever I say Bible study, it's not like, oh, this is 20 people in a room. This is 6,000 people in a basketball arena, like having a Bible study. So bigger. And Ryan was like hired by them to film a promo video. This is one of the first videos. Like I think this was like his first commercial gig ever. And I know this because I like talked to him about it later on and all, but it was so funny because I saw him walking around with a 5D and me being like, young college, like, hi, what are you doing? Oh,
I see that's a DSLR.
That's neat, and he like, you can tell he's like in full on panic mode, just trying to film stuff. And he was like, oh yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, man. And then he was like, hey, I hear they're about to come out with a 7D, which is probably like, might be even better. You should get one of those. Just offhandedly. And I was like,
because it shot 24 frames per second.
Exactly. Which was huge. That was such a big deal. Yeah. I remember watching Philip Bloom and he's like transcoding stuff down to drop frame rates. He's got these weird hacks. I'm like,
MPEG stream clip, baby.
Yeah, dude, that was it. That was, oh my gosh. I was good friends with that with the 7D. And so I bought the 7D. And the best part is that like, I then like reconnected with Ryan later on, and he was doing the Cereal Box Presents music videos that he was doing, and we were both ended up working at a church together. And the best part was that like he found out that I'd bought the 7D and he was filming with the 5D, and he was like, hey, I need like help to come and like film some of the Cereal Box stuff, but your camera's not good enough. I'm sorry, it needs to be full frame. And I was like, you told me to buy this camera. He's like, sorry, man. Like, here, you can just come film like a behind the scenes of it. So like I get to
Oh,
film behind
Lord.
the scenes with like
It's not
him and
that. What a amateur statement from Ryan Booth, by the way. It really wasn't that different.
it wasn't at all. But he did that, and he was shooting on Black Magic, and then he's just blowing up now, which it was just so funny. I was like, no, I bought this camera because you told me to, like 2 years prior. So, anyways,
Sad trombone.
yeah.
Well placed, yeah.
And so I had this Canon 7D, and around 2010 or so, a girl in one of my college classes was getting married, and she was like, hey, you have a camera, you want to film it? And I was like, film your wedding? Oh, sure, why not? Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm also like desperate for money at the time. And it was one of those stages where like I feel like most filmmakers get this, like you get started and you're like, I'll do anything.
Oh,
I don't
absolutely.
care what it is. Like, as long as it's not illegal, and possibly if it is illegal, I will gladly film that. Are you paying? And so I was just in that stage where it was like, and she's like, well, what do you charge? And I was like, $500 for a wedding film. Oh, okay. Q finding out that they're like driving up in like a Rolls Royce and all this stuff. And I'm like, crap, I could have.
$500.
They got to steal.
That's like Austin Powers. $1 million.
$1 million, but it was $500, and I worked my butt off and put way too much work into that video, and it was like an hour something long. I did like a review of it like 2 years ago. Like I went back, like watching my first wedding video I ever filmed. I put that on YouTube, and I was like, this is some cringe stuff here. Okay.
The guy that drove the car from the hotel to the wedding got paid more than you did.
Yes.
But you didn't know.
100%.
You didn't know.
Yeah.
You didn't know.
And like
It
was
was
great.
your first time. You got paid for the education.
I hadn't even like attended many weddings at that point. And I was like, sure, whatever, let's go to a wedding. But like the photographer, I remember he was being super friendly. He's like, here, you could borrow my LED light. And I was like, oh, thank you. Like, just try it, whatever. But I found that I did enjoy it. And I was like, well, hey, this doesn't suck. Maybe I can keep on booking weddings. And like, it's this funny thing where there's so many filmmakers that I've talked to over the years that are like, it's either they're not filming weddings now, but like everybody's filmed a wedding. Like if you're a filmmaker, you've probably filmed at least one wedding just because like you get roped into it somehow.
Yeah. Especially the last decade or so.
Oh, yeah.
With Pinterest, the whole industry changed, Social
Everybody
media
wants it.
changed weddings forever. I think a lot of people don't realize it. The reason that weddings are such a big deal is because you want to post those beautiful images on your Instagram page. Like, when our parents got married, it was literally like, the photographer just, hey, stand in a line. All right, just say cheese, and that was it. Yeah.
Good.
And I would argue that sometimes those types of weddings are like filled with more love and realness than these mega ones that we end up filming.
Very true.
I don't know about you, but yeah, like a lot of the DIY weddings that I've shot, usually those couples are like the most kind of authentic, and then the very expensive, crazy ones, not all the time, but sometimes are a little more superficial. So,
oh yeah, one of my favorite weddings was. I got like, it was this wedding where like we were getting paid way more than the other vendors, but like the couple really liked us. They had us fly up to Virginia to film their wedding. And it was this amazing, like cute little backyard wedding. And for the wedding dinner, they had pizza and donuts. And it was just fantastic. Just everything was great. I'm like, little chill backyard. We got to like film them at sunrise. They did like all this cool stuff, but it was just like,
oh, wow.
The opposite of any like ballroom, crazy expensive wedding. It was just like, hey, this is chill. It started raining like 8 p.m. Like, we can just call it now. We're done. We'll take off. And I was like, I can go to bed at a normal hour. This is great. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
And I ate pizza and donuts. I was very happy. It was crazy.
That's kind of a cool way to spend your budget, is to spend it on the photography and the video, and for the rest of their lives, they're going to have such a great memory with the footage. I was recently thinking about this, how no matter like where you are, like I would rather be in a kind of less expensive area with people I love than like a super wealthy bougie situation with people who are empty and surface level,
Empty and dead inside. We don't want that. No.
Wow. Okay, so I assume from that one $500 wedding on, you kind of just started booking stuff. Like, what happened? Did things just kind of start flooding in? People found out about what you were doing, or what?
it was a slow process, of course. It's like, oh, hey, I booked one more. Okay, cool. And a lot of it was friends of friends that were getting married, or like good friends of mine. So there's a lot of that. That was not the only $500 wedding that I shot. I'll put it that way. There's a lot of friend discounts there just
Same
to like
here.
build the portfolio. Let's get it going. And it took me a couple of years before I realized that I wasn't actually like making any money. And I was like, okay, I need to actually start charging more and like building that out,
Yeah.
And then most critically in 2012, I finally started growing a beard. So a child was filming these early weddings. Then finally, 2 years in, I finally started growing a beard.
That's awesome.
and
the rest is history.
then everybody started paying me more. It was crazy. Like it was amazing. Everything changed.
Have you heard about Matt Johnson? No, who's that?
Huh?
Oh, the guy with the video guy with the beard. Oh yeah, I've seen him.
Yeah,
that's such a great recognizable trait. Honestly,
there you go.
Beard
and then
guy.
It was so funny. So like this all ties into your going back to Joe Simon and still motion and all that. So like 2014 rolls around. I've been filming weddings for like 4 years at this point. I'm thinking that I know what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm pretty good. Okay, we're doing some good stuff. And then I get this email out of the blue. I'm living in Dallas at the time. I get this email out of the blue from someone with a still motion email address. And it was just
wow.
Hey, we have a shoot coming up in Dallas. Do you want to be a PA? We'll pay you, I think it was like $125 a day. And I was like, I will do this for free. Take my body, take whatever you want. Like, let's go do this thing. I am here to help in any way. And so that translated into me picking up Joyce and Patrick from the airport just like, hello, like they're like, here's the rental minivan, hop in, like drive us around. Okay. And we're filming like this very like bougie, I say bougie. It was like this bougie house in Highland Park, Dallas, like very, very fancy. And they're like, hey, be careful when putting the tripod down. The floors are leather. And I was like, what do you mean they're leather? And I get down on my hands and knees, and I'm like looking at it. I'm like touching it. I'm like, it is leather. Why is the floor leather? I've never seen leather floors in my life. What?
Are you serious?
I kid you not. They had a room in their house with leather floors. Okay. And we had to put down towels so the tripod feet would not scrape the leather. Okay. It was weird. Very nice people. Very beautiful house. Loved filming there. It was a lot of like, I learned quickly that Patrick was like, if you're a PA for Patrick, it's like, you are the servant that will do whatever is demanded. Do not question anything. And I'm like, just frantically running around getting stuff done. But it was super helpful and like super educational. And then there came this point on the second day that we were filming where we're filming in this hotel room. We're setting it up for all these interviews and we get everything set up. And so we have like 30 minutes of chill time while we're waiting for the like talent to come that we're going to interview. And so it's like me, Patrick, my friend Ashley, she's helping like us film too. And I think it was us just hanging out in this hotel room, chilling. And then Patrick's like, hey, you shoot weddings, right? Show me one of your wedding videos. And that's like,
nice.
That's like LeBron asking you to play basketball with him. You're like, sure. You're like super happy, but you're also like, it's going to be bad.
Which one do I show you?
Yeah. There was a lot of that. Like, what's my best one? So like frantically, so he watches it and he starts just like tearing it apart, like in the best possible way. Cause like up until this point, and I'm sure you've dealt with this with like family members. You never have good feedback from like family members and close friends that are not filmmakers. It's just, that looks great, sweetie. Good job. It's beautiful. My son's the most talented ever. And you're like, how can I get better? Like, tell me where I suck. And so I really wanted that. And so that was very much like Patrick was like going through and he's like, why are you showing this shot? Like, what's the point of that? Where's the story? And I was like, oh, okay. And so like completely blew my mind. So good. Like literally, like if you're like looking at the trajectory of Matt's filmmaking life, September 2014, dramatic shift. Okay, here we go.
Cool, man. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then I basically took everything that I learned from that. 2 days later, I flew to Yosemite to film an elopement wedding out there. Applied everything that I learned from Patrick, plus just like my own creativity and just freaking out. And that was like a really, really big shift in like my filmmaking, I guess you could say. Then a year later, 2015 rolls around. I'm hanging out with my friend Chris, and he's like, "Hey, you're really good at like helping people and educate them about filmmaking." He's like, "You've explained a lot to me. You should make some tutorial videos on YouTube." And I was like, "Really? Okay." And I made a review of the A7S II, and here we are.
And that's what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
That's the video that I saw. Which, wow. So that really was maybe was that one of your first videos?
That was like one of the first, like,
well,
there's a bunch of wedding videos on my YouTube channel before that.
Other than epic fish tank head dunk.
Hey, that was my friend. That was my friend Daniel. He did a great job.
If you guys want to look at Matt without a beard, sort by oldest.
It's
dude,
back there.
I love that you're keeping your high school stuff on here. That's so cool.
That's all college. That's all not even high school. That's
okay,
like
college.
Matt is like an early 20s.
Preparing for Zombie on the way to Beach Reach. It looks like you're on a bus, so I was just thinking you're in high school, but that could be a college youth group.
College youth trip,
right?
Youth trip. Yep. Very
cool.
Beardless. There it is. It's great.
I also had an account that would have been probably 12 years old by now, but I deleted it. I was just like, these videos are old. I don't whatever. These are stupid old videos. I should have just saved it and held it.
I'll tell you, this isn't even my original account. Like, I wasn't WhoisMatt before. I just had like, I think it was like a random sequence of numbers and letters. Like, I didn't even have anything like, real, but like I would upload like dumb videos on there. And that account, I think it peaked at like 7,000 subscribers, which, hey, not bad.
That's cool at the time. Yeah, dude, that's amazing. I was more, I mean, as I'm sure you were as well, I was consuming Vimeo way more than YouTube.
Staff picks, man. Got to just check out what they got.
Did you know that I had a staff pick?
Really?
Yeah.
No.
It changed my life. I won't talk about it too much because I've talked about it before, so our listeners might be tired of it. But if you just go to vimeo.com/Dave Mays, you can see
will. I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm going to do this.
That was the one and only staff pick that I made.
Hey, but it's there on the top page. There it is.
Yeah, this is all my like directorial stuff that I did for YouTube stuff. So I did a lot of music videos. And
oh my gosh, that's loud. Calm it down, Vimeo. Do not play that.
Oh no, yeah, you don't have to watch it. But
I'm going to entirely and completely ignore everything you're saying to watch this video about
What's
porcelain.
up, everybody?
Bring it back over here. What's
Dude, that is such a great comedy trigger. I'm excited about
What's up, everybody?
It's got the
suck.
It's so good.
So your YouTube journey now, let's transition to that. So your first video that you actually took seriously was the A7S video, and then you continued to go on to do like a Phantom, the original Phantom. I think you did a video about that and different things in the wedding film kind of niche. What were some of the things that you were learning at that time? Did you have any inspiration in the YouTube world, or was it kind of what I was doing, which is just kind of watching Vimeo and Philip Bloom and Shane Hurlbut and Vincent LaFerre?
all those guys. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll tell you, it was funny because at the time in like late 2015, like Philip Bloom hadn't been making as many like camera reviews. Like he kind of stepped back from that. And so I was like, well, if he's not going to do something, then I want to do some more stuff. So I was like trying to like do more in-depth stuff too, which I feel like a lot of people were doing at the time. And then there was another YouTube. So it's funny because I decided that I really wanted to focus on like the wedding filmmaking space. And there was only one other guy named Craig Adams. And he was the only other guy that was doing like wedding film education on YouTube. And he ran wedding film school.
We actually have had him on the show before, and but a lot of people may not know that. I don't think we talked too much about it, and I remember that as well. Wedding film school. Now he's doing the travel stuff, but
he's very much a chapters of life kind of guy. I feel he's like, okay, done with weddings, close that chapter, move on to hiking and do all this other cool stuff. Which, whenever I would talk to him, he was always like, I could tell like he had other dreams and aspirations. I'm like, dude, that's good. Like, Don't
Yeah.
stick with what you're doing if you hate it. Like, keep on moving. And so that's
Yeah.
great. That's really great.
But okay, so wedding film school.
Yeah.
What were you talking about that?
So he was basically making a bunch of tutorials also. And I would basically look at like what he was uploading, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to step on his toes. Like, what has he uploaded? Like, what other things can I focus on that are different? And so I started doing videos about relationships and establishing shots and all these other parts of weddings that have just like different facets of them. That I don't know. It's things that can apply to other filmmaking, but it's always with the bent of like, how would a wedding filmmaker look at this, or how could you use this for weddings? And so what I found this cool is that while I was getting a lot of people that that watched me because they film weddings, there was also a lot of people that were just like, hey, I don't film weddings, but this is also super applicable to the corporate videos that I film. So thank you. And that was really cool.
Oh, I didn't know if you were going to elaborate on that.
I'm trying to think if I was trying to think what happened next here and all. I got to go back to like dig back.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Any blank period, just insert like if there's any like awkward pause, just be like, and there you go, perfect, got it. There it is. Hilarious.
Guy. So you, the hit is such a great like transitional moment. A little gear guy. So you do that, and then you. I can't hold myself together. Oh, Lord have mercy. So Caleb Pike was one of those guys doing YouTube stuff. We have Ryan Connolly from Film Riot. We had lots of others. Indie Mogul was doing stuff. I know a thing or two about them. But
it is funny though. There weren't like you're listing everybody off, and that was kind of it. Like
there wasn't. We didn't have this guy
What's
yet.
up, everybody?
He wasn't there yet.
That guy wasn't there till like 2018, right? 2017, 2018.
And I met him years ago.
rocketed.
He used to work with Still Motion. We've talked a lot about that, but he was a video guy for them. And I met him at a magic conference because he worked for Theory 11 doing magic stuff. So
I've never met Peter, but at NAB 2019, I saw him at the Polar Pro booth. And he was being accosted by approximately 30 young men just surrounding him. And I was like, I'm not going to bother the guy. Like, I was just like, you're real cool. I love you. But like, I don't need to add to the chaos that you're currently experiencing with your fans.
And what are you going to say in that moment that would be anything that he would remember or take away from when there's all these other guys? Hey, I'm another guy.
Hey, what's up? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it was funny. Oh man, didn't.
Another opportunity may come up, I guess.
There you go.
We'll see if events happen again, and if Canada will ever come down to America ever again, at least.
Ever again.
You're right though. It was an interesting time. There really wasn't this YouTube strategy that everybody seems to have these days. And I think Casey Neistat, again, we talk about him all the freaking time on this podcast.
Because he's great.
I'm sick of talking about it. But no, exactly. I mean, I think he inspired all of us freelance guys and girls to realize that we could actually kind of take control of our career and make what we actually want to make. I don't know about you, but as a director and as a freelance video person, often I would create some sort of pitch or a treatment for a music video or a commercial project or even a wedding, and you want to do it a certain way, and then the client says, okay, that's a great idea, but how about you do this instead, like all the other videos that everybody's ever made, and it's just going to be a bunch of talking heads with some basic general stock footage B-roll. It's like, well, fine, whatever, you're the client.
Come on.
I have to do what you say. There's no gatekeepers anymore on YouTube, and at least that's what I took away from when I saw Casey as a performer myself. I was a magician for 6 years before I did video. As a performer and as a video person, it was a light bulb moment for me personally. I was like, oh my goodness, I could actually take control of this, and there's no gatekeepers anymore.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll say something that kind of mirrors that with wedding filmmaking, in that I feel like a lot of it's interesting because talked to a lot of people and they were saying, "Oh, I can't film weddings anymore." Like people start filming weddings. They're like that's like their first gig or something like that, and they get a little bit of money, and then they're like, "I don't want to film weddings anymore." And then they go off to corporate world, or they film a bunch of corporate videos, and they're dealing with a lot of stifling corporate clients. And what's cool that I found with weddings is like, if you can really like nail down your brand and really get it to like the couples and style that you like, you have just massive creative freedom. And it's still a wedding at the end of the day, but it's like, what do you want to go do? What do you want to go film? Do you want to go do some cool stuff? And so like, there's such a breadth of creativity that's available there. And what's nice is that couples don't really know like what to expect. It's unlike a corporate client where they're like, here's what we want, and here's the treatment, and here's what we expect. It's like couples getting married have no education about film at all. They're just like, yeah, I want a cool video. And you're like, how about we do something really cool? And they're like, oh, okay, cool. You know, and they're just down with it. And so I don't know, because of that, we've been able to do some really, really fun, like either like traveling or just like doing some really cool shoots and concepts with couples that I feel like I would be like not allowed to do in like the corporate world necessarily, or it'd be like, oh, well, let's do it this other way. And so I do like that there's only like two clients. There's a couple that you have to make happy, and those are your two clients you got to appease, and that's really it. And like you said, though, YouTube, you get even more freedom though, because then it's literally, what do you want to make? Okay, cool. Can you make money from it? Great. Keep doing it. And it's awesome.
And the company that you're talking about and the we that we're saying is FilmStrong. Is that correct?
So, yes.
Or is that not it?
FilmStrong is what is / was / still is our wedding filmmaking company. Started way back in 2012. Even though I filmed weddings for like 2 years before that, just as Matt Johnson. You get me. Hello. But it's funny because now that like...
WhoisMatt.com.
I book so many weddings now because of the YouTube channel, and because people are like, hey, I watch you on YouTube. Will you film my wedding or something like that? And because I want to, like, they are like, hey, do you want to film a behind the scenes of my wedding and like bring along people and do all this cool stuff? I'm like, yes, this sounds great. Like all of our bookings are basically coming from the YouTube channel now. And like, we're still getting inquiries from other people and referrals and things like that. But like in general, like the mass amount of weddings that we're booking are coming from people that have found me on YouTube. And so when I say like FilmStrong, they're like, I don't know who that is. Like, it's just like we're talking about just transitioning the brand completely over just to Matt Johnson. Here you go. You get the beard. You want that? Because it's always going to be me filming anyways. So that's fine. It's just this weird circular thing where I was like, I don't want to be like Joe Simon and just call it Joe Simon. So I'll call it Still Motion. But now crap, it's just me. Crap. I guess I'm Joe
but Still
Simon.
Motion and Joe Simon don't do it anymore, so might as well.
I'll just take their names. I am Joe Simon now. Hello, welcome. What's up?
I'm Still Simon.
Still Simon. Joe Motion. One of those.
Yeah. I can't do that with a straight face, dude.
It's great. It's great.
Oh my gosh. So with the wedding stuff, I'm trying to understand too your actual income in your business. Is it a combination at this point now, we're talking 2021 coming into 2022, your income, I would assume you're making money with your channel, with courses, and with actual weddings themselves. Is it all of the above?
I'll put it this way. Well? Whenever we decided to buy a house this year, finally bought a house, first house, woohoo! Yay. Exciting time, especially with this insane market. But we
especially in Texas.
Oh, it's nuts.
Oh, that's not. It said crowd,
that didn't work. That's just crowd sounds. That was a good one. I paused for ambience. I was waiting for it. Dang it!
I don't have a.
Could have just done the womp womp for that. Okay. Thought you had it. Just crowd sounds. You got lasers. We got lasers.
Man, I suck.
That's what you need. I suck. Like, oh man,
I'm gonna have to go on freesound.org and get some applause, man.
There it is. So, anyways, my main point here is that I, whenever we were trying to buy the house and apply for a mortgage, the mortgage people were like, "Yeah, just send over your W-2," and I was like,
"Oh gosh,
I don't have that." And they're like, "Okay, just send over like a W-9," and I'm like, I've got 30 of those. is, like, because I don't know, with YouTube and the internet, like, you don't make money from just one source. It's not like, oh, YouTube sends you your ad revenue check and that's it. It's like,
Yeah.
do you want to like have ad revenue? Do you want to have courses, super chats? I don't know. Like, it's like affiliate revenue. It's so much ridiculousness. I bring up
There you go.
There it is.
Little late on that.
I bring up super chats only because I do these monthly wedding film review live streams where I view people's wedding films. I did have one guy. This was like 6 months ago, I think, but he like super chatted me like $400 over the course of like 5 minutes, and I felt like, what do you?
Wow.
Do I need to take off my shirt? I don't know what to do. Right? Thank you. I was like reviewing his wedding film. He was just like a really nice guy, but I was like, this is insane. I've never made money from super chats. This is nuts.
Seriously.
Like, whoa. But yeah, it's just it's one of those things where people I like keep meeting our neighbors. Like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm an influencer. I'm like, what? How do you say it? How do you like categorize it? I have friends that just say,
I make videos.
I have a millennial job.
I have a millennial job.
Millennial job. And they're like, oh, okay. Never mind. I still have like relatives that are like, how's the wedding photos coming? And it's like,
the photos.
It's never been photos. It's never been.
I don't know about you, but back when the DSLRs were the all the rage, and you would go through airport security, they would always ask, oh, you must be a photographer. And I'd be like, oh, actually, they shoot video, and now they're these DSLRs that the mirror flips up, and and then there's like, what? What do you mean? And we actually had, of course, you had this as well, the GlideCam HD 4000.
Oh yeah.
We had the 5D with the 24L, the 1424 on the 5D Mark II. And we got like a little label maker, and we put little arrows pointing up, and it said video camera with arrows pointing up. And we taped it on the glide cam right on the sled below the lens, and it solved the problem.
Video, listen.
And we would always put a Rode mic on it, not because we would ever use it, but just to sort of make it look like a video camera a little bit. So
there it is.
When we would go to like the reception with the 5D, filming people like dancing and reacting, they'd always just go like, they'd like start doing poses, and they got their drinks, and they're half aware. I'm like, no, it's video. But I can't tell you how many clips when you're going through favoriting stuff, you're like, you can hear yourself go, I got it, great,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I got it. It's like,
I've lied to hundreds of couples. Like, oh, it looks great, thanks. Like, I didn't do it to take a picture. It's fine, whatever. Just it's all a lie. It didn't happen. But you mentioned TSA. You made me think about. I shot this wedding in 2015 in Hawaii, which was like incredible. But like I'm in the. I think I was in the LAX airport, like trying to like get on my flight to get out to. Get out to Hawaii, and I'm going through TSA, and of course I get flagged with like my Pelican case full of all the camera gear. And the TSA agent guy, he like calls me over, and he's like, sir, and he opens up the Pelican case, and he's looking at it, and I'm like, oh crap, what's he gonna say? And he's like, sir, where are your lens caps? I was like, what?
Nice.
What? And like I had like two lenses that have lens caps on. They're in the case, it's fine, whatever. And he's like, you should always have lens caps on your lenses. I was like, is this really why you stopped me? I'm not a terrorist. I don't have lens caps. Oh my gosh. And he's like, it's okay.
He was kind of playing a little prank on you there.
Ridiculous. Like yeah. So I made it through.
When you live in a kind of like in Nashville, I never had problems. I think it's just maybe fairly normal for them to see video people. And then same for LA. Of course, you're going to see photographers and filmmakers everywhere. Day.
Austin's the same way. Yeah.
In Austin, I would imagine. So, but you go to like a small town, like a tiny little airport in the middle of Ohio or whatever, and they start asking questions.
I've only ever been confronted. I got confronted in the boonies of Alaska for flying my drone. Like, we want the peace and quiet around here. Don't go flying your drone. I'm like, oh crap. Okay, sorry about that. And then just like, I filmed some weddings out in like Podunk, West and East Texas, like middle of nowhere. And I'm literally like, this is probably where somebody would shoot you or your drone down. Like, this is probably
Yeah.
it. Like, that's kind of the place. I don't know.
Totally. One of the things that is super fascinating to me, and I think it's important to kind of highlight that you said earlier, is that the majority of your bookings come from your YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have thought that talking about videos that are really for filmmakers and for people making wedding videos would actually in turn be the best marketing material you could possibly do for your actual wedding film company? I think this comes back to what Gary Vee has always said, which is you want to establish that you are the expert in that field by just putting free content out.
Yep.
And then you start getting work, ironically, as that guy, because non-professionals look to you as the expert. And I would imagine as you're walking into the bridesmaids at the hotel room, they say, "This is Matt. He's like this big YouTuber guy." They want to brag about like the fact that you're this expert. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely happened before where like I'm like famous almost. I'm like, it's just me. Please don't be weird. Just let me film you. It's gonna be awkward. Okay. But it happens, and it's a lot of fun. But I love that the bookings happen that way. And I've actually had couples tell me like, we thought about just filming our own wedding or like just setting up a camera. We thought it'd be easier. So we Googled it and your YouTube channel came up and you showed how complicated it is. So we're just going to hire you. And I'm like, cool.
Oh my goodness.
All right, let's do it. Okay, great. So it works out.
I'm gonna play a game here. I'm gonna search how to film a wedding. Search.
You're probably my friend John and Nick, because they have howtofilmweddings.com.
Parker Walbeck.
Yep, he's huge.
Scott McKenna.
Yep, love him. Am I even on there?
Hapoya's brother.
Yeah, Teppo. He's great.
Yep, and then you.
I'm on there. Okay, I'm on there. All right.
And then Maddie's below you. Cal Visuals is below Maddie, and then another Parker, and then another Matt. So you've got, out of the top 10, you got 2 out of 10.
I'm going for 2. That's good. That's really good. And I know like all those guys. I've never met Parker, but I know Jake Weisler, who basically films all the wedding stuff. So
nice.
By proxy, I'll call it that.
So yeah, I mean, that would make sense that they would kind of stumble across your content. And some of those guys, I think, is Parker, where does he live? Does he live in Hawaii or something?
I believe he's in Utah. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's part of the Devon Supertramp kind of
conglomerate,
the Mormon area.
The commune. I don't know how you would put it there. They're all in Utah and they're all making amazing videos. And you're like, it's Utah, but it's just fantastic. And you're like, that's fine.
Daryl Eves is out there. And, Lindsey Sterling and kind of those OG.
Who's the sound
Mormons.
guy that's out there? Who has the?
What's up, everybody?
That guy?
Yeah, that guy. No, who is he? He has a very soothing voice. I watch his like audio recorder reviews all the time. Dang it.
Oh,
you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I have he's very tall.
Yes, I know who he is. I see him in my brain right now.
Let's see if I just search audio recorder, it's gonna come up. But
Why am I?
Curtis Judd.
Curtis Judd.
There it is. Yeah.
Curtis Judd.
Yeah. Dude, met him at NAB like 2019. Also, there it is.
He's so tall.
Like I'm like 5'9". He is 2 of me. Like it's just we hung out at NAB. And he's like, Matt, it's so great to see you and like get to interact with you.
He's so nice.
And
he's
I'm
probably
like,
the nicest
I'm
man.
like, if anybody's watching on camera, like this is me. Just, hi Curtis, it's so great to meet you. Yeah, you're really awesome. How's it up there? I'm just like, oh my gosh, this dude, like super nice guy. Like he's great because like if I ever have like a complex audio question, I literally just like shoot him a text like, hey man, can you look, what about this thing? And he's like, oh sure, Matt, let me help you out. It's great. Let me know if you ever come out to Utah. It would be cool to hang out. And I'm like, it would be cool, Curtis. You're great. I love you.
We should do a Utah trip, like a Curtis Judd trip.
Go up there, harass him, harass Devin, Parker. Just we don't tell them we're coming. We just show up like, hello. You'll be on the podcast. We got Peter McKinnon sound bites. You'll think it's hilarious.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, exactly.
There it is. Good timing.
Awesome, dude. Awesome, Dad. So over the last couple of years, your YouTube channel has obviously continued to grow. You're sitting at well over 300,000
Crazy.
at this point. That's awesome, man. What are your thoughts on YouTube? Because that's kind of my whole. I left the wedding industry because I loved what I was doing with YouTube.
Yeah.
But you continue to do weddings, and it obviously is all working hand in hand together really well. So on one hand, I would imagine that you do actually enjoy shooting weddings. Is that
100%? Like, I still really love.
That's totally fine.
Yeah, and like I've also, it's okay. You can still like that. It's all right.
I feel like it gets wedding videographers get a bad rap. I feel like because so many of us filmmakers who do it, it's really just a means to an end to make money, and we really don't want to be doing it. But here we are, 8 years later. I've shot 300 weddings, and I'm ready to blow my brains out. But now I'm actually working with my cousins who have a wedding photography education business, Amy and Jordan Demos. Have you ever heard of them?
Demos. Is that just their name, or do they have like a company name with them, or is that just?
Amy and Jordan. That's their whole thing.
I don't think I've seen them. I'm sorry, but I don't watch a lot of photography stuff. So there you go. There's their website. Ooh, it's Amy and Jordan. Look at that.
So they do wedding courses and stuff. So I do all their video stuff.
Look at those nice, soft, light and airy colors.
Yeah, they're awesome.
It is.
Yeah.
That's great.
So Amy's my actual cousin, and they've built an empire on just teaching people how to...
Why didn't you get blonde hair like that, man? I don't know. That's what you need. I'm trying to envision you blonde.
Yeah, her mom and my mom are sisters. My mom has blonde hair, but I did not get it. My dad's Arab, so I got that.
The strong Arab genes took over, and you're like, hair, facial hair, got it. Yes, totally. Check, love it.
Check, dark hair. I got curls. I got the Jew fro.
There it is.
And people at Jewish weddings often come up to me and say, "Dave, are you a Jewish man?" I say, "No, I'm not. I'm actually Syrian."
See, I shot this Jewish wedding a couple years back, and I was really excited because I'm like, "Oh man, they're gonna have beards. It's gonna be great." And then it wasn't an Hasidic Jewish wedding, so like nobody had beards, and I was like, "Dang it! Okay, well, I was hopeful."
You gotta shoot a B&H wedding.
There you go. Yeah, dude, that's on my. I have like a list. Like it's not a written down list, but they're like I would shoot a B&H wedding, like just on my list, like guaranteed yes, whatever. Like if they're like, hey, we're gonna get married at B&H, I'd be like, yes, this is great.
A B&H.
I would shoot a Buc-ee's wedding. Have you ever been to Buc-ee's? It's like a massive gas station in Texas.
No.
Oh man, if you ever come to Texas, you gotta go to Buc-ee's. Think of like a Walmart, like that big, but it's a gas station. There's like 200 urinals, and it's just amazing. And like 200 gas pumps. I'm not joking. Like, okay, maybe not 200, but 50.
50
I kid you not, just in a row.
Because it's a bunch of truckers that come in.
Yeah. No, they do not allow trucks. They do not allow 18-wheelers. It is only like, but it is super popular. It's like all like families and just like people that are driving across. But like 200 gas pumps, 50 urinals inside, beef jerky, brisket. You can't go wrong. It's great. Everything's beaver
just like
themed.
Every other gas station, I guess.
Just like every other one. Yeah. Anyways,
that's awesome.
I have this thing, like if I ever get asked to film a wedding at a Buc-ee's gas station, I will say yes to it. Like
awesome.
I don't know if they have to actually ask permission. Part of me wants them to just crash it and just be like, hey, we're getting married in the clothing department. Don't tell anybody. Just come over here next to the jerky, and we're going to just say our vows, and like I'll just like film it really stealthy.
I feel like the employees wouldn't care. They're like, not going to cancel a wedding. I mean, come on.
No. Come on. This couple's happy. You got to let them get married now. Give them some beaver nuggets. It's fine.
That's a skit idea for your channel. Get 2 actors to dress up and go in the most ridiculous scenarios. Dress up as the videographer. Get a friend who's a photographer to show up, and you go to the most not obscene, but like
obscene.
That's the wrong word.
Obscure, maybe?
Or wrong, like socially wrong places. But the wedding planner who you have there, that's an actress, is kind of playing along like, don't you ruin this bride's day,
See, I've got like, anytime I watch videos like that or any prank videos, I get so much secondhand cringe and just like secondhand embarrassment. Like the thought of me actually doing it myself, I'm feeling embarrassed just thinking about it. I'm like, I can't, oh man, I can never, I watch those prank videos or something like that, and I'm like, I couldn't do it. Like I
Yeah,
just
that's
would
true.
I just freak out and run away. Like, no, I can't handle this.
It would work. That would blow up on TikTok. I guarantee it.
There you go. And the nice thing is TikTok, you just film it on your phone, vertical, very quickly, and then you leave. So that
Yeah,
could
exactly.
there's potential there, very quick.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But what has your kind of recent journey been like on YouTube in particular, being a YouTuber? What are some things that you've been learning about, maybe changing in terms of the way the algorithm has changed? Is there any type of content strategy or long-term strategy for you with the YouTube channel? Or is it really just a really awesome way for the weddings and the business to kind of come together for you? Do you see it as you are a YouTuber, or is it really another asset or a tool that you're using for your wedding company?
Well, it's interesting because if you asked me this like 2.5 years ago, I would have been like, oh, it's just on the side of weddings. Like I'm doing weddings, then it's just YouTube's on the side. But then late 2018, we started realizing like, hey, we're making like good money from YouTube. Like this is working out. Like it isn't just like Matt's hobby anymore. It's like, oh, this is Matt's side job that he's doing. Okay. And then 2019 hit and we decided to have a baby. And so
Awesome. Congratulations.
yes, yeah, I'm sure you as a father are aware that children take up a lot of your time, including especially if you have a wife that usually shoots weddings with you. So
When was he or she born?
she was born February 2019. So
Okay. I have an October 2019 baby.
there you
so-
go. Yeah. So great, but like very stressful and but loving.
Of course.
Anyways,
Fulfilling. More fulfilling
Yes.
than anything, honestly.
1,000%. But there was a lot of like, oh crap, we probably shouldn't schedule any weddings for like 6 months because we have to raise a child. Okay, so like that kind of pushed things back a bit.
Oh, wait a
And
minute.
so
I see where this is going. 6 months.
yeah,
Where did that land you in 2019?
so that landed like we shot a wedding in September then, and then we shot a wedding in it was crazy because we had all this travel. We had a wedding in Ireland that we filmed in like December 2019, which was fantastic.
Mhm.
And then
Then you went to China, and for some reason you started feeling weird on the
we
way
went to
back.
Australia actually.
Oh my goodness.
'Cause we were close. We were on that side of the planet anyways.
Oh Lord. That's
Oh
crazy.
man. Yeah, we went to like it was literally like all this travel. It was like January we were like in Mexico and at a wedding film retreat event, which was fantastic. Then we went to this Lonely Hearts film camp, which is another wedding filmmaking retreat in Australia for like 2 weeks. And at this point, like I've got weddings scheduled. I got one coming up in March. I got another in April. We got like June, July. Like we're booking all these weddings. Things are going great. And then everything just like we get back from Australia and everything shuts down. And
Good thing you got back.
yeah, dude, for real. It was like a week later. They were like, hey, no more travel from Australia. I was like, glad we're back in America. My goodness. 19-hour, no, I think it was a 17-hour nonstop flight from straight from Dallas to Sydney. It was fantastic.
With a baby or baby at home?
Oh yeah, with a baby.
Ooh.
She slept the whole way there nearly, which was fantastic. And then
That's
the way
great.
back, she didn't sleep as well, but she was with we brought on grandma to help watch the kids, so it was really great.
Nice.
Yes. I was wondering if you were gonna have a good sound bite for like a crying baby sound. You got to build up this library of
I just started
audio.
it.
This
I
is
just
it.
started making.
Oh,
I'm using
man.
an app called Fargo.
Far.
Farrago. Anyways,
Nice.
continue.
So yeah, basically all of our weddings were either postponed by a year or canceled.
Mhm.
And so I think we only filmed 2 weddings in 2020, like that weren't rescheduled. I might have filmed 3, not many. And then 2021 rolls around and we had all of like the postponed weddings plus a few more that we scheduled. But like, it was also a weird time where we were like, we don't want to book a ton of weddings because just like with the way the pandemic's going, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And so it's also one of those things where like I know so many people that have booked weddings and then they're postponed again and again and again. And it's just nothing is certain right now in the event industry at all.
Mhm.
And so that was kind of this interesting shift for us where we're like, well, good thing YouTube's around. And
Yeah. and it was doing
Yeah.
rather well at the time.
Yeah, like everybody's stuck at home. I guess they'll watch YouTube. Okay, great. And so like thankfully,
Wow,
unlike a
yeah.
wedding, I can sit in my house and record a video. So
Yep.
basically the last really 2020 to 2021 was really me like figuring out a groove of like, can I upload a video per week? Like, is that doable for me? Because as somebody that's like more perfectionist, I'm like, I gotta be perfect, blah, blah, blah. Can I actually do that, And I found out that I could, which is really awesome. And so a lot of like the past year has been just like me learning how to prioritize my time, like still film weddings, but like film the weddings that we really want to film that we know will actually happen, which is good. So like some of them we're booking like relatively shorter notice too. We're just like, yeah, okay, let's do that. And then on top of that, we're also, I'm trying to like learn how to be a good dad, which I feel like you as a dad, you'll understand that. Like you have so much, like you realize once you have kids, like the most important thing is time and like time that you spend with your kids. And so like, how can I maximize that time? And like already being self-employed is great. Already like being able to work from home is great because I'm just here with my daughter all the time. But like there would still be weddings where like that Ireland wedding we filmed, we were gone for 10 days. Like we had to, travel all the way internationally. And so we had to look hard at like, do we still want to film international weddings? Like that's a lot of time. And we're basically like, no, we don't want to film international weddings now just because like I don't want to be away from my daughter for that long. And like maybe I could bring her, but that's a lot of drama. Oh gosh.
Yeah, no, you're totally nailing it on the head, and that's why I quit Indie Mogul and moved from LA to Nashville because I realized that I could care less about my career in the same way. Like 5 years ago when I didn't have kids, it would be a no-brainer to pursue those things and to, hustle and all that. And I still am hustling, but in a different way. It's a more balanced life now with, my relationship with my wife and then with the boys. So, and that's totally normal. And that's kind of, it's hard to explain it to a non-child person. And I was not a kid person. I never really liked kids, so I was always like, whatever, we'll see how it goes. I'm always going to be an entrepreneur, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But then it happens and it's like, oh, wait, never mind. Just throw all this garbage away. That's worthless to me.
Kids are important now. Dang it. This is awesome. And it's,
it is.
1000%.
Anytime I see a movie or something where like a son dies or a daughter dies and the father or the mother is having to grieve the loss of a child, like it really hits me really hard now.
Dude, I will tell you, like weddings now for me, whenever they have like the daddy-daughter dance and like they're playing like butterfly kisses after, it's just the grossest song. Like I'm over there like either silently crying or like almost silently crying, like, oh, my baby. Just like, oh. Like, because I'm like immediately like, my daughter's going to be this in a few short years. She's 2 right now, but that's only, she can get married at 18. That's only 16.
It's only 40 years away. She'll be married.
Stupid. But like, like
20 years. Yeah.
Dude, I did not think it was going to affect me that way. And it's just like, man, it's, and that's so cool. Like, I do feel like a lot of people are realizing that and like realizing the value of like, especially with the pandemic, people have realized like, I shouldn't be a workaholic. I should be at home with my family. This is great. Yeah. And you have more of that.
Peace. You have way more peace and joy and fulfillment. And work is a thing that is important for us, especially as parents. We have to provide for our family. Sure. There's nothing wrong with working, but work is not life. And I think America especially puts so much emphasis on it. And growing up, the pursuit of happiness is not necessarily scriptural. So the pursuit of happiness is what we're taught, in school or whatever. But I would argue that always pursuing, quote, happiness is not going to lead to fulfillment in your life and joy. So,
yeah, I feel like there's a lot of this grind mentality right now, and I see a lot of that on YouTube, but then you also see a lot of YouTubers talking about it and talking about burnout and how they're like, I'm going nonstop and I'm making all these things, but I'm like, I'm tired, you know, and you get this, like YouTube is a treadmill, man. Like there's no,
Oh, yeah.
there's no finish line. There's no like, here's
Mhm.
my best video. See you later. Like, no, like, where's your next video? Like hit upload
Well,
again.
that's kind of like Josh Yo, though. He kind of
Yeah.
makes the most banger video, and then he goes away for like 6 months.
And he makes some cool Kickstarter rotating thing. And then he's just like, hey, what's up? Check this out. I'm like, shut up, Josh. You're so cool. Okay. Like, whatever. Like, it's stupid. Okay. But like, he's one of my favorite people. And
I
so
love Josh. He's so good. Yeah.
but like, we're all just trying to make stuff, you know? And I do think, I don't know, we kind of touched on this earlier, but like, the expansion of like the filmmaking YouTube and how there's just so many more people doing it now. And I also think the other component of that like we didn't really touch on is also like the companies are now like in on the game as well. Like back in the day, it's like, good luck getting somebody to send you anything. But now it's like, oh, my email, and I got 30 emails from random companies. Like, you want anything? Like, it's just like, please mention this in your videos. I got somebody.
Would you like this micro needle that you can rub on your forehead?
I got that. I was getting like you want to wear this belt? I'm like, I don't. No, I built my brand about not wearing like and not having to dress up. Like what? I wear a t-shirt all day. Like, don't make me wear a belt. Just weird. Like,
don't make me wear a belt.
Come on now. But it's just this thing where like.
If you buy our gimbal on Amazon and provide the receipt, we'll reimburse you.
Yeah, and then also leave a review. And I'm like, you're just gonna close my Amazon account. No, like this is not how this works. You know, it's ridiculous, man. You know, and it's like it is such a balance of like, okay, what do I say yes to? What do I say no to? Like, how can I do this ethically? It's rough. It's so rough. But
I think when Gerald Undone started blowing up and started just taking over about a year ago or two, I think at least for me, it was kind of it was inspirational for me to watch Gerald become so successable and really have the right ethics behind the whole thing. I think Caleb Pike is another great example, and I would imagine that Gerald would probably credit Caleb as well, because Caleb Pike always has done that. One of the things that he told me is that he doesn't actually accept anything. He always buys everything so that he doesn't have any unknown bias. At least that's what he told me in 2019.
No, I think that's great.
He's receiving stuff. I don't know.
I bought a like when the A7S III came out, like I was like, okay, the R5 is also out too. I'll buy an R5 as well. Like, okay, that way, like I can, be like unbiased. And I'm still getting people like, this guy just he's still a Sony fan. But I'm like, I literally bought the camera. Like I spent $4,000 of my own money. Like, what else can I do to convince you that I'm not biased? But it was just this thing. It was like, fine, I am biased. That's fine because we all are. Whatever. It's just
we all have some sort of bias, right?
Yeah. So I did end up selling that camera like 2 months later. I was like, I can't keep this camera. I don't like it. Here, go away. But
so what are you on? What are you on these days? What are you using right now for this little live stream? And then what are you actually using for work as your workhorse?
This is all Sony A7S III. Like everything is, I got 3 of them because for weddings, I knew I wanted like one for me, one for Rachel to film weddings. And then we have like behind the scenes shooter that we're always bringing in. I'm like, I don't want to deal with somebody that's like, yeah, I've got my Sony A6000 from 5 years, like 20 years ago. I'm like, please, no, here's like a good camera. Like that just makes it easier to edit and everything's all together. So,
and then if you really need it, you can always use it because it's the same camera. So.
Exactly. And so it literally happened. We're filming like it was the first or second wedding I ever filmed with it. And my camera died. Like the hot shoe got water in it. And then it started like glitching out the camera. And so I'm like, well, backup A7S III. Here we go. Just back to filming and just went right back to it. But
that's
crazy, man. It's crazy.
Dude, yeah. I mean, wouldn't you have killed to have the A7S III in 2012 or whatever? The Ryan Booth days. Like, dude, the low light is insane for weddings. It's like, it's literally it should be the flagship wedding videographer camera at this point. The color science is finally like rock solid. The low light obviously is nuts, and that's usually what you're dealing with, especially at a reception and shooting the getting ready shots and stuff.
You have just no control over lighting half the time at a wedding. And so it's funny because I reviewed the GH5 and I love the GH5. I think it's a fantastic camera. The big knock I have against it is it's just not good in low light. Like you go above ISO 1600 and you're just like, sorry, good luck. You know, it's rough. And so I still get people that are just like, whatever, man, just bring lights. And they're just so defensive. And I'm like, no, I do bring lights. I fully believe in like lighting and shaping. And I think that's very, very important. But like, you're going to have moments on a wedding day where you can't be like, hey, can y'all just stop doing all that and let me go plug this light in over here? Like, you're not gonna like. It
also ruins. They pay all this money for these designers to come in and do the candles and all this and that, and you're ruining the ambiance when you start blasting a 600D at their face. You know.
Yeah, that's why I believe in smaller lights. But I will tell you also, in my experience, whatever like ambience that they're paying for, it's usually like the DJ bringing very cheap Chinese uplighting that's flickering really badly. And I'm like, like, I know you didn't spend any money on this. Come on now. Like, I've had weddings where it's fantastic, but I've also had weddings where I'm like, this is really bad. Like, I'm like, my lights are better. Like, all of my equipment is better than what you are currently using for this wedding. Okay. Just, it's weird, man.
I guess you're right. Like, they're never going to light for what I'm thinking in my mind about this whole conversation is the toasts. Because in the reception area, you do kind of want a moody, like candle lit kind of feel. When you're eating, you want very low light for it to feel intimate and warm and cozy. But they never seem to prep or plan for the toasting. Like they don't have lights to light those people. So if you don't bring lights, they're just gonna be standing in the pitch, completely dark, complete darkness.
Last time I had that happen, where the DJ did provide light for the toast and for the couple entrance, it was this massive, completely unfiltered spotlight at like 7,000 Kelvin, just blue, just glowing. Gosh. And I'm like it was one of those things where you turn your ISO down to like the less of your aperture down, and it's still like everything else is darkness, but like they're still overexposed, and you're like, this is the worst thing ever. Like, oh my gosh. So I remember like having to go over to the DJ and be like, I need you to turn that off right now, please. God, like, please. And they're like,
I need you to
why? And I'm like, it's so bad, please. So like, but like, there is somebody said for like, can you light the toast well? Okay, great. Like, cause like the guests are going to appreciate that too. Like they may not know it. They may not be like, oh, wow, that's well lit, but they'll be like, oh, I can see the person speaking. That looks nice, And then you got to like tape a mic to a mic stand so people don't walk around with it.
That's one of my favorite tips that you. So I used to take a lav mic and I would just gaff tape it to the mic itself, and then just have it run down the mic stand or whatever. But if there wasn't a mic stand, then it would get complicated. I love your little hack that I saw. I think it sort of went viral on Instagram Reels or something. You've got this great little mic condom. Can you tell me about that?
I think I learned that from my friend Mark. He was the first person who told me about it because he was using it. But it's literally this company, Mic Effects, and they make these little mic sleeves. And it's just, they're like bedazzled microphone sleeves, like to make like musicians' mic sparkle. But they make a black version. And I'm like, this is what you want. And you literally like just slide a little recorder into it, and then you have a recorder that's right next to the microphone, right next to the person who's speaking. And I cannot tell you the amount of times, it's like dozens of times over the years, where either the sound cuts out or the sound just doesn't work at all. And like, I still got good audio. Like, it's still working. And I'm like, saving the day. Oh my. And oftentimes it'll sound better than the house audio, because like the DJ will be doing like some weird reverb, or like they won't have it mixed right. And then I'll come in like, check this out. I think this is it. Yeah, I'm talking to him, and I was just like, I'm talking to the guy. We're going through like a mic check just with like the recorder. And then you can see down there in the bottom right, there's the little sleeve and recorder there. And I was like, hey man, are you cool with me like putting this on the microphone? And the DJs always give you this weird like what? Huh? Okay, like you see, it's confused. He's like, what? And I'm like, I'm gonna put it on. He's like, oh, okay, cool, man, whatever. Yeah, sounds good. Now, you need to tell him like it's not wireless, it's not gonna like interfere. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. And so yeah, I just like slide it in.
Brilliant.
So I'm like, here's brilliant,
Matt. Oh,
turn it on, turn it off. And oftentimes that recorder will pick up the ambient audio better of like the crowd clapping and laughing, and it has a fuller, better sound. And I really prefer it to just a normal
Yeah.
normal, like just the audio from the DJ.
Dude, I love those little hacks.
Little secrets.
We used to take like an H4n on a light stand and
Mm-hmm.
as like a third or fourth backup, literally just put it straight in front of the PA
Point in front.
speaker. Put it, in the middle or whatever. Point it in the correct way so you're not just getting the boominess of it or whatever.
Just pure bass, just whoa, 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 whoa.
It's like, of course, as a wedding videographer, you got to have the giant bag full of adapters and
Oh, yeah.
RCA and 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch and XLR to 1/8 inch and like all those Radio Shack converters. And so you'd be so surprised how I don't know how these DJs screw it up so often, but it's like you get a clean feed on your recorder coming out of their board, and then you come home and you listen to it, and there's some weird like high-pitched squeal the whole time, or who knows. And then I always had that like H4n recording just the PA speaker, and I can't tell you how many times I've used that as the main audio source, and it's such a crappy way to record it, but like, sometimes you just have to have like that third or fourth audio backup when it comes to these types of events.
If you don't have at least two is like the bare minimum. At least three is like, if you're not recording at least three different sources, you're not covered. Because I've had weddings where like I've triple mic'd people before. Like I've had ceremonies where it was super windy, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna put one mic on the outside, I'm gonna put one mic on the inside. And then it was very like one of the windiest days ever. And I told the officiant, like, I'm sorry, I gotta put 3 mics on you, and this one's gonna go like down super under your shirt, like basically like it's just like 4 layers deep under clothing, but like I know it's gonna sound muffled, but it's gonna offset that wind. And I remember going back to like listen to the audio from that wedding, and I'm like, just blown out crap wind, and I get to that bass layer, and it's just this like bassy like, we are gathered here today, and I'm like, oh yes, we got it, baby. Oh my gosh, like you have to do
that's
it.
Awesome. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Are you just like rocking what are you using these days? I'm old enough to do the H1 with the little mic that Joe Simon recommended. It was that teeny tiny little lav mic.
The microphone madness. Yeah, I still have a ton of those. I still use those actually.
But the H1 now is actually too big and useless. I would rip the XY mic off so it's make it a little smaller. So I just broke that off. And then we would gaff tape all the buttons on the back so that they wouldn't switch.
You had to do that.
Yeah. So
it was a terrible recorder for that. It just like you just made it work, but it's like awkwardly sticking out like just this large mic thing that might break. I have 4 Tascam DR10Ls, and that's basically what I use for everything. The Zoom F2 is really great. I just never really I didn't love how the formatting worked on it. And I was just like, I don't want to deal with this crap. I'll just stick with the Tascam. It's good enough. And so I literally have 4 of those, and everybody gets one of those basically whenever I'm doing stuff.
That's these little guys.
Yeah. They're it's fantastic. They're like $200. It might be cheaper now. And yeah, it's just wonderful.
They come in black and white too.
Yes, they do. So
and they've got locking connectors. Nice. Yeah, so these are great. These came out a couple years ago, but they really haven't really been replaced in terms of. I mean, there's other companies that do them now, but these are not wireless, by the way. If you're wondering, these are just recorders, right? And do they do a safety track on the left and the right?
It has a full on. It'll just record left and right, but then it has a backup, like a fully separate backup safety track that will do -12 decibels or -6 decibels, whatever you want. And it has a pretty darn good auto gain, which is what I usually use. I just set it to auto and it just does its thing. Okay. And it sounds pretty good.
Just for safety, like you never know, they could go really loud all of a sudden. Yeah. Do you remember the little darling? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, the little dar. Yeah, DAR. Yeah, little darling.
Oh my gosh, I'm not going to type that. Holy cow!
What is that? That is so creepy.
What do I search? I need to
do little darling and then do like.
I'm going to be arrested. Oh yeah, Lord.
That is hilarious.
Where's
the sound? You need a sound effect for that. No, this is recorder. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, because people were like, "Oh, you got to use the."
You suck.
There it is. There it is.
Little darling recorder. There it is. Juiced Link.
Those things. Oh, they were. I never bought one.
So my
because
buddy,
they look so complicated.
this guy here was like, oh gosh, go away. This Juice Link guy, he would just kind of make these like in his garage. It looked like they were the ultimate like guy thing. Like it's just
I'm sure they
impossible
were
to
great,
understand.
But I remember they were like, it's really easy. If you need to change the settings, just get like a safety pin and then poke this hole and it'll press a button and it'll change the numbers. And then, I'm like, this is completely not understandable to me. Like
Screw to open the battery, you have to undo this little thumb screw. The card compartment is enclosed in there. The user interface was like those old watches where it's like just you have to understand a sequence of numbers and letters. But my dad got these. My dad's a filmmaker. I don't know if you knew that, but my dad got these and still has them. And still
like father, like son. There you go.
Yeah, he still uses them. And my buddy Jeffrey Holland here in Nashville, he bought those because this was before
is that Pod Holland?
Yeah, do you know Jeffrey?
I follow him on. I think I follow him on Vimeo. Like I know Matt Underwood.
Oh my gosh! Holy cow! So Matt, Jeffrey, and myself were Full Frame Cinema. I was part of that.
You were
whole
Full
wedding.
Frame? Really?
Yes,
Did we never make this connection?
No, well, I mean, I just never knew that you would care. So when when I said I started wedding films, it was with Jeffrey and Matt.
No,
and
y'all did great work, definitely. So
thanks, dude.
It was this weird thing where I'm glad we're like an hour into this podcast and we're like, wait a second, because dude, like when I was getting started. Let's see. I went. I think it was 2010. I went to this mission trip to Florida called Beach Reach, which you happened to watch me talking about zombies on YouTube on my YouTube channel. And Matt Underwood was there, like with his church, and we hit it off. And he was doing music. He was playing guitar at this for
he was
worship.
A guitarist.
Yeah,
I'm sure Aaron Farmer was there too.
We started hanging out, and we were talking about filmmaking. I remember shooting some stuff. I brought my 7D and we filmed some stuff together. And then he was like, yeah, I do weddings, blah, blah. And he was shooting with Full Frame. And I remember, what was the wedding video? And I still think about it to this day.
Golries and Devon.
Yes. I was going to go look it up. It was Golries and Devon. And it had that, like that song. And it was at the old train station in Nashville.
Yep. Yeah, that was our biggest, most viral. It was right when Pinterest came out.
Magnum opus, man.
Jeffrey nailed the edit.
Okay, so I'll tell you a confession. I don't think I've ever told anybody this, but I literally.
So this is that
film,
2010, bro. So I actually was shooting. We were double booked that day. Mm-hmm. And I shot the other one. So Matt and Jeffrey shot this one, and then I had another guy on another one. So unfortunately, I had no part in this.
You missed out. Yeah, they played the guitar live and had all the stuff.
Ukulele.
Yeah. This video does not exist. No.
It's so old, dude.
Oh, man.
I wonder, I need to text Jeffrey. So Jeffrey was my best friend. He was one of my groomsmen. I mean, and then Matt and I have stayed in touch, obviously, too.
Yeah, he's doing really cool stuff now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
His long flowing hair.
Jeffrey's been working with a company out here that does aerial, like drone stuff for like Netflix and stuff.
Matt met his wife Ashley
in Texas at that event.
At that event, yes. And I kid you not, I'm taking some claims here, but I'm relatively certain that I introduced them. Like,
are you serious?
It was just this thing because I remember like I'd talked to her a little bit, and then like Matt came over, and it was just like puppy dog eyes, like both of them just like hi, like it was just like oh this is happening. Okay, cool. So anyways, back to Golries and Devon. I remember loving that wedding film so much. I literally like ripped the audio from I pulled that song, and it was like my second wedding that I ever filmed, and I made like my own private cut of this wedding that I'd shot using that song. And I didn't even show it to anybody. It was just for me and like my second shoot. I'm like, man, this is so inspirational and stuff like that. But that was like the effect that it had on me. Like Golries and Devon. Oh my gosh, dude.
It's gone. I'm looking for it on Google here. It's he must have got that was pre.
I'm sure he got copyrighted for it. Yeah.
That was back in the day. Do you remember Joe Simon's big blow up? So we're talking 2010, 2011, like the whole
pre-music bed by a year. Yeah.
The whole copyright thing was not a thing at the time. And I remember
wedding video.
the cautionary tale was out. Like it was known that you're not supposed to use a Coldplay song in a wedding video, but we would still all do it anyways.
Yeah.
And Joe Simon did some kind of bigger celebrity wedding. I think it was a football player. And
he shot Tony Romo's wedding, quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. It was
and then he
Candace Crawford. It was a big wedding. That was a big deal.
And he used a non-copyright, or he used a popular. I'm pretty sure it's Coldplay.
Fix You by Coldplay. Yeah, and it was yeah.
He got in a big trouble.
Yeah.
I remember he went. I don't know if he went to court, but I know that he got sued, and it was over. I think he told me it was over five. It was like 5 figures, but it was a lot.
Yeah, it was below 6 figures, but I think he was on Ron Dawson's podcast and they talked about it a little bit, or something like. Or Ron Dawson's talked to him about it, but yeah, it was like. I remember that video because I remember when it came out, because of course I followed Joe Simon a lot. I'm like, this is beautiful and amazing and crazy. And it was just like Fix You and Tony Romo, this beautiful wedding. And then I think it was up for like 3 days. And I think it had like 6 million views on Vimeo, which for Vimeo, that's like astronomical. Like YouTube, it's like whatever. Everybody gets like it doesn't be able to 6 million views, like astronomical on Vimeo in 2010. And I think that was kind of this oh crap moment. Like this is way bigger than you think it's going to be. And then the lawyers called very quickly.
And that's when Music Bed really kind of took off, and we all started switching over to it. I remember when we would have meetings with clients, future brides and grooms, they would talk to us about music they wanted to use and like a Nick Lachey song or whatever. And we were like, here's the deal. When you watch a movie, the music tells the story of the film. So we are going, as the filmmakers, we are going to select songs that enhance the story of your film. It's not going to be Katy Perry. It's not going to be... I got
to tell you, Nick Lachey does not enhance the story of your film. I'm very sorry, but he does not. So he cannot be used. I'm like, what?
The reason I use that as an example is because we had a bride pre-Music Bed Joe Simon lawsuit that demanded that we use a Nick Lachey song in the video, and it ruined the whole thing.
I need it. Oh gosh.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so Jeffrey and I go way back. I met him when I was like 17 years old at church. He's the video guy at the church we were going to, and he asked me to help him shoot. I already told him. He told me what he did. He shot weddings, and I was like, oh yeah, I love shooting stuff. I did like animation.
Sure, innocently, yeah, why not? Let's shoot a wedding. What's the worst that could happen? And you're like,
well, I shot a youth camp first. It was Assembly of God Church that we went to, and it was like a youth camp. AG.
Those youth camp videos can be stressful too, man. Oh my gosh.
Well, it was like we were doing like same day edit type stuff on tape at the time, so we had to capture the tape, in Final Cut 7 on old on the 19-inch MacBook Pro. Or the 17-inch.
I remember doing some camp stuff back in the day, and it's just that stress of like, I'm not sleeping tonight. Video's due tomorrow. Okay, cool. We'll get it done. Exactly.
But I was 17, so I had all the energy. So.
Oh yeah.
But he looked at the footage and he was like, dude, like there's some natural composition stuff you're doing here that's actually not terrible. Like, do you want to, I'm shooting a wedding. I need help next week. I'm double booked for a wedding next week. I need somebody to shoot the other one. Would you be down to do it? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I literally, my first wedding ever, he just gave me an old Sony camcorder that I've never used. And by myself, I went out there with an assistant. So I was the lead shooter. One of his guys assisted me, but I had no experience. And
amazing.
I was so nervous, and I was like, Jeffrey, what do I do? He's like, you'll be fine. Just film the bride and groom,
Just point the camera at him. See what happens. Yeah. It's fine.
And and we became so close. We became honestly best friends, and we were right at the beginning of the 5D. He sold his lettuce adapter Sony setup, the big
which were just
camera.
The bulky, massive. Yes.
And because at the time you would take a camcorder and then an adapter that would essentially project a full frame
Yes.
image from like an old Nikkor lens or something
Yes.
onto the cam. It's really bizarre, but
And it was upside down.
Yeah,
too.
so you had to flip it.
So you had to hold, like, I remember, like, I had friends that had those things, and they would literally have like an entire separate rig that just flipped the camera upside down or just hold it normally on a tripod upside down. Like, yeah, it's fine, man. This is what you got to do for filmmaking. I'm like, do you really? Like, this is insane. And that's why I was so happy that I bought the 70 at least, because I skipped a lot of that ridiculousness.
Well, we bought the 5D. So the 5D came out 2008, I think, in the summer, and then we ended up getting it like at the end of 2008, and then he started using it immediately with his weddings, and it just blew up because we were literally the only people in Nashville that had it. So
and the name full frame digital cinema.
Oh, that's how we came up with
of course, like, we're the only full frame. You want full frame, this is it. People are like, what's full frame? Don't worry about it. You want it though. Come on now.
And then 2010 too, like that was such a Pinterest kind of moment. Pinterest became such a thing. And we had a couple of viral videos on there. And the Goal Reason Devon one, the story is nuts on that. Basically, this guy named oh Lord, what's his name? The guy from Jane the Virgin.
Oh gosh.
The cast. Justin Baldoni. The actor.
Yeah.
So he called Jeffrey. This is before Jane the Virgin, obviously.
Of course.
But he was already kind of a B-list, like a more, let's be honest, like a D-list actor in Hollywood.
We're down there. We're down on the rungs, but he's there.
He apparently was just like, he basically was talking to his friend Goal Reason Devon. They were friends in LA, and they were doing this wedding in Nashville. And literally that week, he was just talking to him about it. Like, yeah, whatever. Like, who do you got doing video? And they were like, oh, we don't have anybody. We didn't hire anybody. And he's like, what? You got to have video. You got to have video.
Come on.
Because he's
you
like
need
a filmmaker.
full frame digital cinema. Let me get these people over here.
So he just searched Google Nashville videographers. That was the first one that he saw that was like shooting on a DSLR. So
that's what we want.
Being a filmmaker, he knew that was the one.
Man.
He called Jeffrey on, I believe, Thursday. The wedding was like Saturday.
Of course, as all good bookings are.
And he said, these guys don't really have much money, but my name is Justin Baldoni. I'm a Hollywood actor, filmmaker, whatever. Trust me, you want to do this. This will be. He literally said, this will be your promo video for the next 5 years. I guarantee it. And he
promoted me. I was heavily influenced by it. I was like, man, people are making weddings that look this good. This is insane.
The storytelling was so good, but it was again, they were so interesting and quirky. But again, I got to hand it to Jeffrey and Matt. They nailed the cinematography and the storytelling. It was really good. And then, and because of that, we ended up booking a lot of stuff out of state. And Matt, I seriously think that you and I could probably talk for hours. Now that we're at the end of this thing and we realize there's all these threads in our,
like, the last 30 minutes of this podcast, no one's going to want to listen to, because it's like,
It's true.
You know that guy? Oh my gosh, let's talk about this other guy. Wait a second. Like, leave it all in, by all means. Leave it in for all these people that are just like, what is happening here? Okay, cool.
Well, everybody go check out Matt Johnson. You got the amazing YouTube channel. We'll link it in the show notes and description. If you have a wedding coming up, hire Matt to shoot it. Let him know you heard about him on the podcast, and that's the only place you heard about him. It's like, hey, are you the guy from the Golden Hour podcast that talked about all those people we don't know about and that wasted our time for 20 minutes? Matt, it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Dude,
Thanks so
loved
much.
it.